Okay, we're gonna practice drawing a donut. First, we're going to draw just a basic donut with a bite taken out of it. Okay, the first thing that we're gonna do is lightly make two marks. This is gonna show us where we're gonna start and stop the bottom part of the donut. These should be about 5 inches apart. I didn't measure mine because I could and get out a measure and see. Mine were about 5.5, so yeah, about 5 inches or so apart. Now we're going to connect these two marks with a curved line. Start off really lightly because you might want to change the curve until you start to get a curve that you like. When you do, erase your extra lines. And it doesn't have to be like a perfect curve either, because donuts aren't perfect. Okay, the next step is about 1 inch above those two marks we started with. You're going to do another mark. Now this is going to be a curve like this one, except for it's going to go up like so. All right. So now I have two curves, one up, one down, and I will connect them. And of course, I'll erase any lines I don't want. Now your shape, this shape, if you're ready for the next step after this, it should look almost like a baked potato. So if you have like a baked potato like mine is, then you are good, but it should resemble a baked potato. Okay, now let's start adding the donut hole. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're actually gonna start this line a little bit above the middle over here, and you're gonna draw just a curve. It's gonna dip down a little bit below the halfway, not super far, but just a little bit. And remember to erase any lines you don't want. So it's really important to always start off lightly, because it's super easy to erase light lines. It's not so easy when you draw super dark. Okay, now that's the bottom part of the whole of the donut. The next step is gonna be, I'm gonna start like 1/4 of an inch or 1/2 inch off here, and it's gonna go up and around to this other side. To make that donut hole. Then erase the lines you don't want. Okay, now we have our donut hole. Maybe I think I actually want mine to be a little bit thicker, so I will, yeah, I like that better. Okay. So mine is ready for some icing, because these are not just plain donuts. If you're doing a plain donut or just a glazed donut, it would be this, but let's add some. Now, for the icing, it's gonna be kind of a wavy line, but it's not gonna be going straight across. I like to, starting up here where that second mark we did that first one there, the second one to do the top. Starting there, this is gonna be really light because I'm going to erase it. I'm just gonna draw a curve that goes around to the other one. Now that's the curve that my icing is gonna follow. Now I'm going to start doing it. So I'm doing a wavy line right on top of that line I just did. So that's gonna help me do that wavy line, but to make my wavy line curved the right way, then you can erase that first one we did and just keep the wavy part. Like so. All right, so we have icing on the bottom. We need to do icing on this other side. So it's the same thing. If you want to lightly draw a curve, you can. There's not as many ways on this side, so I just kind of keep it simple. I just kind of go up and down, maybe like once, to add that icing. Okay, so we have our icing done. Now let's do some decorations on the icing. I like to do kind of a swirl, like a loopy shape. You can, eventually you'll come up with your own, but I'll just kind of do mine. So I'll just come around, and I'm doing this just where I'm imagining that icing would be. So it's not going all the way to the bottom, it's also not going in this part. And I can add some thickness to it by going, just kind of tracing next to it. The good thing about drawing food is a lot of time food's not like perfect looking. So it's really hard to mess up. Okay, now we have our donut, we have our icing, and then we have our design. Now we're gonna make the bite out of the donut. This part's a little bit tricky, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna start off with 2 vertical lines. So when I say vertical, I mean like straight up and down. You don't need a ruler, but vertical if not horizontal. You're gonna pick where you want your bite to be. I'm gonna make my bite like right here. I'm gonna do 1 line vertical. I'm gonna stop at my icing and go to the bottom of my paper right here. Then I'm gonna come over and do another vertical line from my icing to the bottom. So they're equally spaced. These 2 lines are parallel to each other. All right, now I'm going to add a bite. Now this bite looks a little too small, so I could have kept it there. It still would have worked, but I think I'm going to move my bite over. So I'm going to keep these the same size. I had to go a little bit above the icing. That's okay. Okay, now I'm just gonna do a bumpy line. It's gonna be kind of curved, like so, there. And then another one right there. And I'll erase the other lines inside of it that I don't want. So I did a bumpy teeth mark line on the top and on the bottom. And I'll erase that bottom line. And then going parallel to these vertical lines, I'm gonna draw some in here. Now some of them can be close together, some can be further apart. If you imagine what it looks like when you bite into, you know, some food. So do those vertical lines. Now this is just the basic donut drawing. There's an infinite amount of ways that you can draw donuts. You can take out the hole and have a jelly-filled donut. We'll talk about that more, but this is just the basic way to start.